Hey friends, Sam Haymart for Test Driven TV. Today we're looking at the 2016 Lexus RX450h Hybrid. This is the all-new RX, redesigned for 2016. It has a lot of improvements, it has design changes, and for the hybrid, it actually has higher efficiency, so they say. So is it all that? Let's find out. When it comes to styling, I really don't think you can look at Lexus anymore and say they're trying to be this or they're trying to be that, because if this isn't being yourself, I don't know what is. This is very bold. This is the latest version of what they call their spindle grille, and where that term comes from is the Toyota family was originally in the textiles business, and so spindle, the loom to make fabrics, that's really where that marketing term came from. And whether or not that's really what is the inspiration behind this design or not, it's more likely just a name they came up with to put on the design they were already going to do. But either way, that's what that spindle language is all about. And it really does look elegant on this, I think. There's a lot of people that don't like it. I think it's pretty neat. And here they've lined it with satin chrome and pretty thick bars of it. It really does stand out. You have blue highlighting here on the emblem because this is the hybrid. And on this one here, we've actually got the optional headlights. These are triple beam LEDs with the L-shaped daytime running light down here. And it does come with bi HID/LED lights standard, so you still get an LED effect. One other thing down here is in the fascia you have what looks like a fog light. That's actually a cornering lamp, an LED cornering lamp. When you turn the signal at night, it actually lights up the corner around you. As I come around the side here, the first thing I want to point out are the wheels. These are actually the standard 18-inch wheels. It's pretty rare that I get a test vehicle that has anything standard on it, and that's exactly what happened here. These are the 18-inch wheels that come standard across the RX line. Now you can get 20-inch wheels, 3 different designs to be exact, but this is the standard alloy. Now this looks a lot longer than it used to because it actually is. It's actually nearly 5 inches longer than before, and the wheelbase is almost 2 inches longer, and when combined with this sort of straight edged origami-like line work that you see here, it actually does look very sleek. Out here at the back of the RX, there's a lot of different things going on. The first one being, and the most distinctive, is what they call their floating roof here. This is the first time Lexus has actually done this. Other Japanese manufacturers, right now it's kind of a fad. I think you're going to see this on some more vehicles. Nissan's doing it on some of theirs, and it's just something that's going to be with us for a while. And basically what they've done here, there's actually a glass panel here that separates the roof from the body visually. And you really do see that more with white and silver vehicles than you do on dark colors like this. In this case, it's actually a real window with a real piece of glass in it. Some of the other manufacturers just put a black tape stripe there and make it look like the glass is flowing around, but it's sort of a neat element that really does work with this design, I think. In this particular case, they've also incorporated the spindle grille design back here. They've sort of got that hourglass shape in those creases. Now on the RX450h, something a little bit different than on the regular RX350, and down here in the lower fascia you'll see there aren't any big exhaust pipes, not like on the regular RX. They always downplay that with hybrids. I guess it's to make the owner feel a little more eco-friendly by making the world think they don't have exhaust. It's just something they do. Now, one thing I'm going to point out on this has a feature on this that I've been finding in my time with it. It works sometimes and other times it doesn't. It has a feature where you can just hold your hand right over the emblem here and it will automatically open the door. It's radar based, it senses your hand, but sometimes it just doesn't work. I have yet to get it to work on camera yet. When I turn the camera off, it seems to work. So I don't know what's going on there, but very much like Hyundai's feature where you can stand next to the trunk, it'll detect you and then it'll automatically open. That rarely works 100% of the time either. So it's a feature this has, but I'll point out that it's intermittent. Sitting in the interior here, you're going to hear a little bit of background noise because I've got the engine running. It's 105 degrees outside and I can't sit here all day and sweat it out. So we're talking about the interior here, and if you watch my videos, you know that I rarely find a Lexus interior that I don't fawn over because I like it so much. And I have to tell you, this is yet another one. Lexus to me has really come into their own when it comes to designing interiors and building them, executing them. The materials in here, really top notch in my opinion. There isn't a single thing in here that feels cheap. In fact, most of what you see is genuine. The wood in here, genuine. Some of the aluminum trims, these knobs right here, They're billet aluminum, and you know it when you touch them on a hot day. They'll singe your fingers, but that's the price for quality, right? So seriously though, the design in here, it's all new for 2016, and it's actually quite completely different than the last generation RX, which quite honestly, I wasn't real jazzed about the design in that last RX. This has like a bi-level shelf design going on here, a lot of horizontal surfaces that really sort of flow out in front of you. The other thing is they've repositioned the seats. You're sitting down a little bit lower in this, and the steering wheel position relative to the rest of the interior is a little bit closer into you. And so basically what they've done, they put the driver lower, push the driver back so you're further away from the windshield, and so that gives you a feeling of more space because there is more space. This entire cockpit feels a lot more elongated than it used to. It's just a much more car-like type of position, and it's comfortable. These seats, very comfortable. These have both heating and ventilation down here, and they have an auto feature too, to where it's sort of tied to the climate control, where the seat will do what it does based on what you have set for the climate control, and that's kind of a nice feature. And of course there is memory over here for the driver, not for the passenger though, so that allows you to get in and adjust the steering wheel because it's a power tilt and telescope, adjust the mirrors, adjust the seat, and you're ready to go. Now this has a head-up display in it, which is a $650 option. I can't really show it to you because the camera won't see it. For some reason the LED, it just doesn't quite work with the camera, but trust me, it's there. And the other thing that can't see it is my eyes when I'm wearing my polarized Ray-Bans. It washes it out. So obviously I'm not having a very good time with the HUD. Some people like them. I'm not really sure it's worth $650 as an option though. Sitting in the back seat's a very comfortable place to be, very much like the front. And the thing you're going to notice here, one of the results of the stretch and wheelbase they've done here is the legroom that's going on back here. There's an extra inch or so of legroom, which is really compounded by the fact that the seat is nearly about 2/3 of the way forward here. This seat's a little bit further back, but you can see I've got plenty of space here. Headroom's good. The seating position here, it's actually a little bit higher than some of the vehicles in its class, and that's for a couple of reasons. One, they've designed this to accommodate the hybrid battery, which is actually down under this seat, so it would be just a little bit higher, but it's just a comfortable place. There are vents back here. Now I will point out that even though we're in a fully loaded model here, with exception of a couple of packages, there are no heated seats back here, which is something that some of the class is starting to get. But what I do like about this back here is you've got adjustments for fore and aft, as well as the recline adjustment. So you can find that comfortable position that you want pretty easily in most cases. The rear seats do fold down in a 60-40 split like most, but because they're designed to accommodate that hybrid battery underneath, they don't fold entirely flat. It's easy to do though, with release levers in the rear cargo area, and power folding seats are optional. Underneath the floor is a spare tire, which I always praise since a lot of vehicles are going with a can of Fix-A-Flat and a pump. This is especially important with an SUV, I think. At the end of the day, I'm very impressed with this interior, can you tell? Therefore, it gets 5 stars. What else can I say? This is a 5-star interior, and Lexus, well, they've done it again. Infotainment here is the full tilt 12.3-inch screen, which is new this year. Because it's wider, it allows for the stuff you normally see with the 8-inch screen, but an additional sidebar for any number of extras you can choose. Additionally, you can enjoy a full 360-degree camera view that's helpful for backing up in tight spaces and being able to see what's on the ground around you. I love it! The system is controlled by a console-mounted puck with ancillary buttons, an interface I love every time I have it. It's one of the best in the business, I think. Also the best, in my opinion, is the sound of the optional Mark Levinson audio system, worth every penny. Technology earns 5 of 5 stars. Under the hood of the RX450h is an Atkinson Cycle 3.5-liter V6 engine and a hybridized continuously variable transmission, or CVT. The gasoline engine has 259 horsepower and the main electric drive motor 165 horsepower. Together, they can offer up 308 total system horsepower in our front-wheel drive tester. Actually, power is not bad at all for when you consider the fact that the engine itself, the gasoline engine, only, 260 horsepower thereabouts. The electric motor provides the rest, getting us up to 308, and that's in the front-wheel drive model. Even though there is an additional motor in the rear on the all-wheel drive model, the horsepower doesn't actually change. The computer just manages power differently. But this is a very refined powertrain for a hybrid. In fact, I would say it's one of the least hybrid powertrains out there. It is a CVT, but because it's not a 4-cylinder that drones on like a leaf blower, it's pretty livable. It doesn't make all kinds of nasty noises, and it doesn't get annoying in the way it sounds. And so driving around town, it just feels like a pretty regular vehicle. Of course, you do get the it never shifts sensation because of the CVT, but again, because it's the V6, not such a terrible thing, and it actually works pretty good. Now I've got it in sport mode. When you put it in normal, not quite as much feeling of power, and when you put it in eco, man, this thing feels like it's chained to a brick building. Most people aren't going to do that, because in my time with it this week, what I found out is that even though this is rated at 30 mpg combined, it doesn't really quite get there. And I have been using the AC every day, but I do that almost all year round in all the cars I test, because we are here in Arizona. Even in the winter, you need the AC a lot. Right now, it's 105 degrees outside. It's been as high as 115, so the AC's really been on. And what I've achieved is 27 mpg is, you know, I don't know. It just isn't that impressive to me. It's 3 less than what the window sticker promised. And boy, you know, you spend a lot of money for a hybrid to get a lot of MPG, and this just isn't quite what this hybrid's about. This hybrid's about a little bit more MPG than you might get without one, but it's not really like Prius type MPG. But overall, the powertrain, it's pretty refined, so I have to give it 4 stars. In the ride and handling department, even though this chassis architecture, this platform that this rides on, is essentially the same as it was in the last generation, they made quite a few tweaks to it. Those are the lengthened wheelbase, almost 2 inches. That usually always gives you better ride comfort. They've retuned the springs and the dampers, a little bit thicker roll bar in the front, so a little bit more roll control, and of course the normal new bushings and things like that. And they've also retuned the steering a little bit. Now, their goals, they tell me, obviously it's supposed to be more engaging, it's supposed to be more precise, more better, more dynamic, all of these things. And so is it? Well, to be quite honest with you, and I hate to sound like I'm just not impressed, it really drives pretty much just like the old RX, which isn't a bad thing at all. It's very quiet, it feels of quality, it does have that Lexus feeling, it's posh. These are all good things. Those are good adjectives. So I really don't have anything terribly negative to say about the ride and the drive experience. But the one thing I'll point out is, in reading all the materials that they gave me, they said some of the refinements that they actually did to this chassis were in the goal to reduce vertical pitching. Well, it still has vertical pitching. And that is to say, sometimes when you go over dips and bumps, you just feel the vehicle rocking back and forth, front to back. But I think most people that buy this vehicle are going to be pretty happy with the fact that it's giving a nice, quiet, solid ride in here that's, well, it's what you expect from a Lexus. This is not meant to be a BMW or, well, any kind of a sports handling type of machine. It's not a driving machine. This is a riding machine. Therefore, the chassis earns 4 or 5 stars. Scoring quality on our RX450h was a little different than most of the Lexuses I've tested. Our tester here exhibited a number of rattles and interior trims over the bumps and road surfaces. Door slams sounded a bit hollow and tinny, and body panel alignment was less than perfect in a few places, bringing total quality feel score in at 4 or 5 stars. Now when it comes to safety, the 2016 Lexus RX earns the IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus honor, a perfect score with good ratings in their full battery of tests. Additionally, it offers the Lexus Safety System Plus, which is rated as superior by the IIHS for crash prevention systems. Well, folks, wrapping it up for the RX450h, I have to say this is one of the first Lexuses in a while that really sort of fell short of some of my expectations. I usually always have high expectations for Lexus, and I'm rarely disappointed, but here we talked about some of the quality issues, we talked about some of the rattles and squeaks, and the fuel efficiency here. It was well below what was promised, even though, yes, I did have the AC on, but most of the time that rarely affects the outcome. And here, we're spending a lot of money for a hybrid, and well, this fuel economy just isn't that much better than what you're going to get with a regular everyday SUV. So in that way, at this price, I put value at 4 stars. When you put that in with everything else we've already talked about, we're at 4 stars for the review. I'm Sam Haymart for Test Driven TV. I hope you enjoyed the ride. Well, folks, if you like the test drive you just saw, click on the link right here on your screen. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We test drive 1 to 2 vehicles a week, plus we have a new video almost every other day. There's always something new, so stay tuned.